Hi, I'm Marcel, and today I'll be looking at the post, "What TTRPG system do you feel flies under the radar?" by user I Am Resilience. As I continue to build the list of TTRPGs I want to play, I was wondering if there are any I should be checking out. Ironsworn is somewhat well known for being an excellent solo RPG, but it also works for duets or small groups, with or without a GM. It particularly shines when played with little to no prep by simply using the moves and oracle tables to generate locations, NPCs, quests, story beats, plot twists, etc. on the fly. Seconding Ironsworn, it's a great game and it has a very robust system. The core rulebook is also completely free, but it's so good that I plan to buy the expansions because I want to support the creator. Symbaroum. Love that game so much. This is so true. They are so right for this. Get the original and not the 5e version. It has its quirks, but it's so cool. I should make a video about Symbaroum. It's come up in a few of these videos before, and I keep talking about how much I like it. Maybe that could be a good video. Also, it saves me the hassle of trying to think of more video ideas. Love the setting, kind of meh on the system. Okay, it happened again. Yes, the setting's really cool. I don't use the setting, I just like it for the system. I know it has problems. I know there are issues with it, but like, the core idea is really cool in my opinion. The system would be better if it didn't feel like it was passed through a translator. Sometimes it does feel like that, yeah, which, well, considering it's originally from Sweden. The syntax is just weird in places, like the ability scores being named strong and accurate instead of strength and accuracy. I thought that was on purpose. Okay, there are a few places where it feels kind of weird, but I thought for that specifically, using adjectives instead of nouns for the ability scores, I thought that was a purposeful thing that they did. It gives it a clunky and weird feel. Alright, too bad. I have the books in Swedish, its original language, so didn't know that. I think having it in Swedish really adds to the overall feel of the game, gives me more folklore vibes than video game vibes. Like Svartoth versus Goblin brings different images to mind. Guess it's not an option for most people though, which is a shame. That truly, I wonder what like the original idea in the original language would be like, because I know there's localization more than just direct translation. That'd be interesting to learn. Okay, so like just quick rundown, I guess. The world of Symbaroum, I don't know if there's an official name for everything. I know there's the Forest of Davokar, and then you have the Kingdom of Ambria, and that kind of stuff. I don't know if the world as a whole has a name. I should probably look into that. Well, I don't play in the setting, but you know. It's like sort of standard medieval dark fantasy like kind of stuff, right? But there's this sort of like coat of Nordic folklore paint onto it. And while there are similar ideas such as elves and dwarves and goblins and ogres, there's a little bit of a twist to a few of those. For the most part, they're probably similar to what you know, but there's a few things that set them off as being different. And the setting as a whole sort of focuses on certain ideas of civilization versus nature. As for the system, it's a little unbalanced, I will admit, but that's a little fun sometimes, right guys? It's a roll under system. You have 8 attributes that you basically roll for everything. And then there's also the way you get abilities where you get experience points and you use those points to buy and upgrade your abilities, and you just have access to the full slew of them. There's 3 levels to each one: novice, adept, and master. Novice levels are 10 experience, adept levels is 20 experience, and the master is 30 experience, and that's stacking on top. So to get to a master level in total it's 60. That's the brief overview. I think it's really cool. You should go and check it out. Trust. With the caveat that I haven't GM'd yet, Death in Space. I've heard of this one, I think. Ooh, I might be confusing it with something else. I think it gets overshadowed by Mothership. Yeah, it's really similar to that idea. If you know Mothership, it's I'm not making a good case for it by saying it's really similar. I haven't played it either. I know it exists. I'd give it a check out if that's a cool idea to you. Absolutely. I think it was just bad timing with its release, as the Alien RPG stole a lot of its thunder too. Having said that, it's something very different from the other two, and I'm looking forward to jamming it sometime. Okay, it's very different. I'm sure the vibes are going to be similar because they all seem to be space horrors, but systems, yeah. Glog probably deserves more attention, but its nature as a Creative Commons blog game probably holds it back. The Glog blog is an excellent source of all things, though. So, I'm gonna read this straight from the website. The GLOG stands for the Goblin Laws of Gaming. It's version negative 1.0 because it's not even in alpha yet. It's basically a pile of crayon scribbled napkins that I've stapled together, and now I'm waving them at you in an elevator telling you about my revolutionary new gaming system, while holding up my torn sweatpants with the other hand. Here's 10 martial classes. Okay, I found a little bit more information about it on a Reddit post. The Glog is a pretty simple, usually roll under RPG. The two main innovations in the system are its 4 template leveling system, don't know what that means, and dice based magic. I know other systems use rolling dice in their magic. Again, I need to know what that means, but it sounds interesting. Okay, well now here I'm seeing someone saying that stats are just a modifier and range from 1 through 9. Most every roll is a d20 plus stat, and is it greater than or equal to 16? AC is ascending, you don't get anything new from your class past level 4. Multi-classing is free and encouraged. Magic is a bit unique. You have spells in a book, then you can memorize one per wizard level. Then you have a certain number of d6s you invest in any spell you cast. When rolling the dice, any that come up as 4 plus you keep, others are lost until you sleep. When you run out of dice, you can't cast anymore. Okay, that's new. Eclipse Phase. Cool setting, deep lore, and a ton of different ways campaigns could go. The system itself is so-so, but I love the character customization. Oh my god, it's Simbaroom all over again. And it's published in the Creative Commons, so you can just go download the books legally? Hell yeah. I feel like I've heard this one before. It's nowhere in my giant folder of TTRPGs, so it's definitely not. I at least haven't downloaded it. But this seems. I'm looking at the website right now. I feel like I've seen it before. But still, that's cool. Oh, the person who made Eclipse Phase has worked on Shadowrun, Earth Dawn, and BattleTech. So if those have good reputations, then like maybe this could be good for you, anyways. You know, if that's what you're into. How about big ones that no one talks about anymore? All Flesh Must Be Eaten, Hackmaster, Alternity. Does Deathland still count? It's been ages since I've heard anyone mention that game. I know none of these. Wow. I thought I'd at least know a few of them. I knew Simbaroom. That I knew that one. I've heard of Alternity before at the very least. I haven't heard of these other ones. All Flesh Must Be Eaten is probably a zombie thing. Hackmaster, I imagine, would be an offshoot of Rollmaster, maybe. All Flesh was replaced by Infected and The Walking Dead for me. Damn. Hackmaster was always a bit jokey for me, and now there's DCC. Damn. DCC is Dungeon Crawl Classics, if you don't know that. Alterity was great stuff, though, particularly Dark Matter. Hey, that one kept up, so that's pretty cool. Deadlands and Hell on Earth and Lost Colony are IPs that I wish were held by someone else. Savage Worlds is just not for me. Well, if it's connected to Savage Worlds, it's probably still somewhat popular then. Well, maybe not anymore considering some recent things that happened with the main person that worked on those, I think. Several. Neon Skies, Against the Dark Master, Tech Noir, Infected, we just saw that one. Atomic Highway, just to name a few of my favorites. Okay, I'm not really. There's a lot of things that I don't know from here, and I'd like to believe that I'm pretty well acquainted with a lot of TTRPGs. It just kind of sucks for the video that most of these don't seem to be going at all into the actual games. Okay, hold on. From the Neon Skies website page, streamlined neo-futuristic tabletop role-playing, a fresh rule set and a new narrative setting, both built from scratch and tested in parallel. One streamlined mechanic that sprawls out into innovative rules for three key moments essential to the genre: combat, vehicle chases, and omninet diving. Okay. A la carte character creation with no classes, ensuring unique and infinite customizability. And yet it takes under 10 minutes to create one. You clearly haven't met my players then. Oh boy. I can't find anywhere on here that says what the actual role mechanic is, but it does offer in a 240-page book 30 talents and 33 biographs. I assume that's the character customization. And then apparently also a bunch of equipment and weapons. Though it says, and this isn't necessarily telling on the quality of the game, it says that within those 240 pages also includes apparently, so 100 of those are for lore and setting. But then separate from that, which now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it's still within those 100 pages, but we'll see. Maybe you'll see. 20 pre-made NPCs, some game aids, which, well, I mean, aren't bad to include, I suppose, and then 3 scenarios, which, I don't know what to think of this one. Okay, so this Against the Dark Master one, on their website, it looks like, oh my god, this is so Lord of the Rings. There's the tower. We got a hobbit and a dwarf, and then that's basically Legolas right there. There's the orc. Against the Dark Master is a tabletop epic fantasy role playing game of high adventure, heroic action, and heavy metal combat. Yeah, yeah. If you put together works like The Lord of the Rings, of course, yes, of course, and The Wheel of Time, sprinkle them with a little bit of Labyrinth and Dragon Slayer, and put everything in a blender together with a healthy dose of classic heavy metal, you'll get a typical Against the Dark Master game session. Okay, so they're clearly going with that kind of aesthetic. Unified mechanics, a simple resolution mechanic based exclusively on D100 rolls, allows for fast and easy to learn rules. So I'm guessing skill based, like if you know Call of Cthulhu, basic roleplay, all of that kind of stuff. Probably what this is gonna be. Full character customization, vocations, kins, cultures, backgrounds. A magic system based on magic points and spell lores, open to all characters. Tech Noir, high-tech, hard-boiled role-playing. Playing it safe isn't working anymore. You're not going to get out of this clean. You have illicit tech and the talent to use it. Time to go shake the city and see what falls out. You'll get hurt, sure, but what kind of pain will you deal out? So I'm thinking cyberpunk, probably. That kind of vibe aesthetic. You play protagonists like cyber-tweet couriers, hard-nosed investigators, and drugged-out hackers making opportunities for themselves in a despairing world. Yeah, this is cyberpunk. Please, can these people just start putting in how a little blurb of how their game works in their websites? Okay, here we are. You have a small booklet that summarizes a setting, and you roll randomly on it as players investigate to add additional twists to an ongoing mystery until everything fits into place. Tech Noir also includes a push dice economy that requires some buy-in from players. It's kind of like the Fate Point economy, but an even stronger effect on the session. Basically, players have a pool of push dice that they can spend to make more lasting impacts when they do actions. However, when they spend them, the GM gets them and can make more lasting injuries on the PCs. However, being injured is one of the many ways the PCs advance in power. So you have to stress that otherwise PCs so you have to stress that otherwise PCs are reluctant to spend push dice so that the GM doesn't get push dice to hurt them in return. I'm not really keen on reading all of it because it's not the focus of the video, but if you want to go through this post and see if it's a thing for you, here it is. Alright, an atomic highway. A new dark age has begun. The descendants of the apocalypse's survivors scavenge the remnants of the before times, struggling to build a new life amidst the ruins of the old. Okay, so post-apocalyptic. In a savage world where the strong ravage and exploit the weak, the survivors' settlements are oases, connected only by convoys of armed and armored vehicles that run the gauntlet of raiders, and worse. Yeah. The V6 engine, a simple, fast-playing game system that emphasizes cinematic or movie-style action, supported with many clear examples. I'm sure it is. You could at least tell me how it works. Quick and easy character creation rules, providing dozens of potential character types. Tear along the shattered highway as a road warrior, track down monstrous threats as a brave tribal warrior, or unearth the wonders of the past as a canny scavenger. I'm thinking it might be class-based then? Rules for mutants and mutations, including optional rules for humanoid animals and psychic powers. Straightforward rules for a wide variety of vehicles and modifications. Complete bestiary, easy use scavenging rules. Just standard stuff after that, I guess. Sorry, I don't mean to demean or mock this, but I've seen those words so many times for an RPG, and it's yeah, I'm sure you're really setting yourself apart there. I'm really getting an idea of what your game is like and about. Please go more in depth or use more unique wordage. Something, anything. Hi, it's our seal. Just stopping by for a quick little intermission since we're about the halfway point of the video. Ish. I would hope that you like it so far, so if you could do me the honors of liking and subscribing and perhaps turning on your notifications, that would be so awesome sauce. Anyhow, back to the video. 99.9% of them. This guy gets it. I wish Make You Kingdom had an English release. Okay, so it's not even in English. It sounds interesting. I wonder what that is. The publisher behind that game has other gems too. I was surprised that Battletech has not one, but two systems, and never ever heard of them despite knowing about so many niche stuff. The amount of crunch involved in playing a Time of War is fascinating. That's probably code word for bad, but it's bad with a little bit of charm, guys. Twilight 2000 4th edition is probably the best realized game system from Free League yet. I have heard of that one. That is one I'm more familiar with because I don't own a lot of Free League games. I know about a lot of Free League games. It's a shame that it gets slept on because of the theme. So Twilight 2000 is, I don't know everything about its lore, but it's sort of this militaristic, modern militaristic game. I'm sure you play as soldiers. I think that's what's going on. I don't know what the background for what's going. I think it's after some major sort of world event as to why this is happening. I don't think it's fully post-apocalyptic, that kind of thing. Dystopia maybe might be a better word for it. Solo-friendly systems like Iron Sworn, we've seen that one, or 5X push the boundaries of what qualifies as a TTRPG. I'm here for it. Do they? I don't know about 5X. Iron Sworn, from what I've seen, seems pretty, not by the numbers, but typical, right? Unless I'm getting it confused with some other solo system. if you guys are into solo RPGs, I know of one that seems really niche. It's like Ironsworn in how it doesn't have to be a solo RPG. It's called Scarlet Heroes. I don't know anything about it. I just know it exists. But it's out there if you would like to do some research on it yourself. Wilderfeast just played it today and have 2 players and a bystander want to buy it for themselves. Please give me more information. All right, it's Wilderfeast. You are what you eat, a tabletop RPG of monstrous cuisine. So I suppose if you're a Dungeon Meshi fan, this is what you want. In Wilderfeast, players assume the role of wilders, monster hunters and chefs who wield gargantuan kitchen implements and gain powerful mutations from each monster they eat. I'm sure I don't need to go any more into it for you to know whether you want to play that or not. Weird Wizard and Demon Lord. Okay, this is another one that I know. I know Demon Lord. I haven't seen or owned Weird Wizard. It's a D20 with a lot of tiny fixes and a brilliant class structure resulting in 250,000 and 4 million viable... Wait, what? And 4 million viable combinations. Oh, I guess that's like splitting between the games. I feel Rob didn't see Critical Role and how a decent social media pressure drives Kickstarter and overall popularity, despite making some of the greatest games in the industry. I believe the person that made Demon Lord and Weird Wizard also worked on some D&D things, so there's that too. Oh, also, the full names are Shadow of the Demon Lord and Shadow of the Weird Wizard. I can't tell you too much about the settings because I haven't looked into them that much, but as for the system at the very least, it's level and class based, levels 1 through 10, and essentially you have, and you can also do like 0 level characters too. I think that's how the book sets you up for starting, but I usually just make level 1 characters anyways. Anyhow, so you have novice paths, expert paths, and master paths, I believe, at levels 1, 3, and 7, I want to say. The novice paths, there's, at least for Demon Lord, there's 4 of them, and then as you go up the ranks, you get more options to choose from once you start choosing through your paths. There's a bunch of master paths, and essentially, novice paths are really general, very basic ideas, and then as you get into experts and master paths, they go a lot more honed in on certain specific ideas. And as you choose these paths, you'll get, throughout the levels, depending on what path you choose, each of them grants you your stat gains and abilities like any normal D&D class. As for how the roll system works, D20 roll over, you have 4 stats, and the bonuses, it's like the normal ranges for D&D, but you calculate your bonus by subtracting 10 from your stat, and that's just your bonus. It also has an interesting magic system. It works, I think it works a lot like D&D 5e, but essentially you have to learn traditions before you learn spells, and then you can learn spells from those traditions once you learn the traditions. Some of the classes allow you to learn traditions along with spells, but you can also just do that in regular play too. Your ability to cast magic is tied to the power stat, I believe, and as you gain more power, you're able to cast higher level spells, but also the amount of power you have determines how many times you can cast a certain spell. I think I forgot what the resting mechanics are, but if it works like D&D 5e and it's like short rest and long rest and that kind of stuff, you get to cast like each of the spells that you know a certain amount of time depending on their level and your power per rest. I haven't looked at the book in a while, I'm sorry, but I'm trying my best to explain what it's like. Quest Worlds and Swords of the Serpentine, or the Serpentine. I know Swords of the Serpentine. That one's sort of, what's the word? Sword and sorcery, not noir, but like It's got that political intrigue aspect to it a little bit. I don't know about Quest Worlds. Dot Dungeon, Shin Megami Tensei Tokyo Conception. That's a newer one. Well, it's newer in the sense that it's been localized and translated recently for English. Robotech the RPG by SMG. So, Shin Megami Tensei Tokyo Conception is based on the Shin Megami Tensei RPG series by Atlas. You can play as a demi-fiend, where you're sort of like a human mixed with a fiend, or a demon, which is a creature based on real-world mythologies and urban legends and folklore and that kind of stuff, usually. It uses a percentile-based system, Call of Cthulhu, RuneQuest, basic roleplay, in that kind of line of things. Unlike, if you're familiar with Shin Megami Tensei, you're not collecting demons in this. You're just playing as your own demon. And that's about to the extent that I know of it. It's heavily based on Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. You play as a demi-fiend. So, and it's not going to have any of those newer demons that have been released since, but it's still cool. I really want to get my hands on it. I really need it, but I haven't gotten the opportunity to buy it yet. So, Dot Dungeon seems to be like a fantasy game that's set in a virtual world. From one of the videos I saw of it, like, announcement of it going live, it seems really based on old school, like, computers and JRPGs and that kind of thing. Or just old school games in general. But then I go to its... Well, I can't really go to its itch page. I don't know why, but it's not working. But I see the cover for it, and it's like really cheery and colorful. And it's just giving me a lot of different vibes than what I would have expected from like some of the other materials for it. Okay, and now I'm seeing like the book cover, and it's... I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be used for like a lot of different aesthetics. It just seems a bit weird. Okay, and then you get into the actual pages, and it looks like... I don't know what era that even is. Really old. And then Robotech looks like some Gundam type stuff. Big mechs that you probably pilot and fight other people in big mechs with. Oh, didn't this come up earlier too? Yeah. No, it was Battletech that came up earlier. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. It really does mean a lot to me. If you have any other RPGs that you know of or own that seem to fly under the radar, I would love to hear about them all in the comments. In maybe more serious stuff, I am tired. Making videos is fun and all, and I was thinking, oh, you're just reading things off of Reddit. It can't be that hard, it can't be that difficult, but then I wanted to do like the presentation things along with it, and I have other video ideas that it's just kind of tiring to think of even starting them, and that might be because I'm also doing college in the middle of this. But, anyhow, that should be all for this video, so, bye-bye!